Alright, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power, and in this video I want to talk about Big Ramy and his performance at the 2020 Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. So as you guys know by now, Big Ramy took third at the 2020 Arnold Classic, and a lot of people were expecting him to win going into this show. We saw all the training updates, all the photos, all the videos, the Big Ramy death face. We saw all that stuff at 4, 5, 6 weeks out from the Arnold. So what happened to Big Ramy on the day of the show? And I'm going to be showing you guys in this video some different videos of Big Ramy that were taken from the audience in different angles and not from the live stream, because I think the live stream didn't do Ramy justice. I honestly don't think I don't think he looked that bad. He wasn't what we expected him to look, and he wasn't shredded Big Ramy, but I really don't think he looked bad. But I do think the live stream camera angle and lighting wasn't doing him any favors. And the way the live stream, I really don't like how they just bounce around from camera angle to camera angle and don't just show a straight-on shot when they're hitting the mandatory poses. It really doesn't give you the best idea of how these guys are looking. But honestly, here's what I think the problem was. So we saw all these updates. Big Ramy was looking lean going into the show. And when we saw that interview with his coach, Chad Nichols, and again, nobody even knew that Ramy was working with Chad until like 2 days out from the competition when they made that announcement on Instagram. And again, Chad Nichols famous for bodybuilders like Ronnie Coleman, Dallas McCarver, Nasser El Somebody, big, massive bodybuilders is what he's famous for. So when we found out he was working with Ramy, a lot of people were upset to hear that because they were scared that that might not mean we're going to see a shredded Big Ramy, and that's exactly what happened. So there was an interview with Chad right before the show where he said the lowest point they brought Big Ramy down to was 302 pounds. That was his most depleted. So that was probably when we saw Big Ramy with his death face. Now keep in mind, in the past, Big Ramy's been in the 280s. I believe it was the 2018 or 2017 Olympia when he came down below the 290s for the night show. So there have been times when Big Ramy has came in under 300 pounds. Now, the day before the show, Chad Nichols did an interview with Muscular Development, Ron Harris of Muscular Development, shout out. But he said in that interview that when he got here and got to Columbus, they carved Ramy up to 310 pounds. That is where I think the mistake was. When you're a 300-pound bodybuilder, I don't think you need to force feed yourself to carb up almost 10 pounds. I think it would almost work in Ramy's advantage to just come in as depleted as possible and see what happens as far as his conditioning. Carb up a little bit, but not carb up to the point where he's gaining almost 10 pounds during that carb up. So that number of 310 is what scared a lot of people, and it scared me too when I heard it. But looking at the different angles of the video, I think we do see here a pretty decent conditioned Big Ramy. Now, what I think happened here, because Big Ramy took third, I think the main reason why he took third was because the expectation was so high. I think everybody, the fans, other bodybuilders, even his coaches and the people around him, they've been saying we need Ramy to come in lean. We've seen Big Ramy come in big time after time after time, but if he's going to get rewarded, we need to see him come in lean. I think that's what happened to him at the 2018 Mr. Olympia, where he dropped in placings. He came in too big and he wasn't lean. And I think at this point, at the Arnold Classic, same judges as the Olympia for the most part, they want to see Big Ramy come in lean. They've rewarded him time after time for coming in big, and now they're only going to reward him if he comes in super shredded. A different version of Ramy is what they want to see. It's what the fans want to see. And I think it's what Ramy needs to bring. Now, that being said, a lot of people were saying Big Ramy was the disappointment of the show. I don't think so. I think it was disappointing that he didn't come in the way we wanted him to look. We wanted him to be way more shredded than he was, but it's not like he came in incredibly, just terribly bloated and with lack of conditioning. He was conditioned, just not as conditioned as Bonac and Dexter, and that's why they placed ahead of him. I mean, he was still third in a very tough lineup here. So do I think it was disappointing? Yes. Do I think Big Ramy failed here? Not necessarily. Top 3 at the Arnold is nothing to be ashamed of, but I do think he really needed to win this show. I think to give Big Ramy the momentum he needed going into this year's Olympia, he needed this win because now William Bonac is in a prime position to be the most talked about guy going into the 2020 Olympia. He just took runner-up to Brandon Curry, a very close runner-up at that Olympia in 2019. Now he just won the Arnold for the second time. William Bonac has all the steam and momentum in the world going into the Olympia, and Big Ramy could have had that. I think he really needed to win this show. And he is going to go on to Australia in a couple of weeks, so he still has time. I mean, he could come in shredded in Australia for all we know. 2 weeks, a lot can happen, especially with a guy that big. So let me know what you guys think about Big Ramy's appearance at the 2020 Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. Do you think it was a disappointment, or did you like what you saw? As always, please give this video a thumbs up if you did, in fact, enjoy it. And as always, subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed already. A lot more bodybuilding videos coming just like this one. And as always, Nick Strength and Power, signing out.